Today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in Groves. Groves is a deck building game that I played for the first time at Geekway, thanks to Jacob, who taught it to me and my business partner Alan. And I had a really good time with it. Beautiful art, nice production, and it has a mechanism that I really like. I've talked about this before in some bag building, deck building games. I love trashing mechanisms. I like the idea of building up your deck or your bag, but I also like the idea of strategically removing things from your bag or your deck to improve your engine or to get certain benefits. And Groves does this in a way that is wholly satisfying, because sometimes in these games when you trash a card, there's a big cost to it, or you have to use your turn to do it. In Groves, one of your options on your turn is to place one of the workers that you drew from your bag in the common area, the global area, to do one of three things. You can gain a tile, you can gain a card, or you can start building this mirror thing that you can use to, or it's like a portal that you can use to copy other players' actions. So you're placing your worker in this common area. And what this does is, it does a couple things. But one of the first things it does is that it removes that worker from your deck. So this is kind of a worker placement part of the game, but it's also worker removal. You are getting that worker out of your bag, out of your deck, and using it as a worker instead. And so it's one of those trashing mechanisms where you're trashing something out of your bag, but it feels really good to do because you're getting a great benefit. These aren't just like bonus options. These aren't backup options. These are core actions to take in the game, and you are using your workers to get them and getting those workers out of your deck. The other interesting thing it does, something that I've struggled with sometimes when designing games, is when you have how you tell your workers are different than other players' workers after you place them. This isn't always the case. Many times in worker placement games, you have your own workers that are your own color, and so that's how you differentiate them from other players. But in certain games, actually like the Red Rising game that I was working on, I had a bunch of different workers of different colors, and I was trying to figure out, okay, how do I, like if I want to place these in a common area as worker placement works, how do I differentiate them between other players' workers? And Grove says, I don't care. It doesn't matter whose workers they are because you are removing them from your bag. So I like that Groves took this problem that you can encounter in games when you're using a common pool of workers that aren't specific player colors. And they said, okay, how do we work around this? And I don't know, I actually don't know how the design process worked, but I like that they used bag building as to impact this worker placement element. So I think this is a great method. If you have a game where you have a bunch of variety of workers that you want players to place in common areas, whether it's for blocking or just because that's how your game works, bag building might actually be a really good way to do that, because you can use this method of worker placement where it doesn't matter whose workers they are, because after they leave your deck and enter that common area, it doesn't matter whose they are because they're not going back into your deck or your personal player area. Really clever mechanism. I love good trashing mechanisms. So if you have a good trashing mechanism that you want to bring up in the comments, I'd love to hear it. And if you have a favorite mechanism in Groves, I'd love to hear about that as well. Thanks.